Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. We're here for a brand new transfer and latest news update. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe. It's been a little while since I sat down to do one of these videos, so I thought I'd give you an update. And a lot of this news actually come in the last 24 hours or so. Do let me know your thoughts on any of the pieces of news that we speak about today. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And we will be talking a little bit more in depth about some of these stories in a transfer podcast, which should be dropping, all being well, tomorrow morning. So keep your eye out for that one. We're going to be kicking off with Mr. Ruben Neves anyway. The sooner this saga gets sorted, the better, really, for us Wolves fans, because it's only, the 13th of June, and it already seems like this story is dragging on a little bit too far. Barcelona are obviously the key team that have been linked with him. There were stories yesterday about Jorge Mendes flying out to Barcelona to discuss a number of transfers with the Spanish club. One of them being Ansu Fati and trying to sort out his future. Of course, he's been a player that has been linked with Wolves quite heavily over the last few weeks. And Ruben Neves was also going to be a player there that is linked, that is going to be spoken about. Now, this morning, Sport in Spain have reported that Barcelona have pretty much ruled out now the signing of Ruben Neves. They've said no, because the only real way that this transfer was going to be possible was for Ansu Fati to come to Molineux, and he's pretty much saying, no, I don't want to join Wolves. So this makes the deal very, very difficult for Barcelona now, because they don't really have the financial muscle to be spending £30 million plus on Ruben Neves. So there's a real big decision for Wolves to make here. Can they sit Ruben Neves down and convince him to sign a new deal? Or will they have to sell him elsewhere? Are there other clubs across Europe that will be interested? Or will Wolves have to sell to the Premier League, which is not necessarily something they wanted to do originally? So, like I said, still early days on that one, but it just seems to have dragged a long, long way. And hopefully now Barcelona won't mess Wolves around much longer. And they've sort of said, this is it. We're not going to be pursuing Ruben Neves throughout the rest of this summer. A player that Wolves could be bringing in, also playing in Spain right now, is Geoffrey Kondogbia. Currently playing for Atletico Madrid. He was a player that Wolves have been linked to previously, and Wolves looked at in the January transfer window as well. For whatever reason, they left it, but it was pretty well known. I think Fabrizio Romano had posted about it in January that other Premier League clubs were going to be looking at Kondogbia this summer. I think he's got 1 year left on his deal. Any potential deal could only be around €5 million, which for me would be a very good piece of business. Kondogbia is a defensive midfielder. Can also slot into centre-back if needed, but predominantly a defensive midfielder. Currently representing Central Africa Republic at an international level as well. It said, actually, sources in Turkey dropped the news about this one. It said that Wolves and Kondogbia's representatives will be having talks this week. If things go to plan, obviously Wolves will have first refusal on him. If not, and talks break down, there are offers from Turkey for Kondogbia. But by the way the report was worded, it sounds like Kondogbia would obviously prefer a move to Wolves and the Premier League. Express's star Liam Keane also posted that Kondogbia is on Wolves' radar. Nothing is advanced as of yet, but he has confirmed there is an interest there. So definitely this could be, Geoffrey Kondogbia could be one of Wolves' early signings in this summer window. Now we talk about Kondogbia coming in. A player that could be leaving the club is Nathan Collins. A real surprise piece of news that came today from Mail Sport. It was an exclusive by Mail Sport saying that Brentford reportedly have an interest in Nathan Collins and are lining up a move for the Wolves centre-back. It's been a very difficult opening campaign for Nathan Collins. Had some really bright moments in the very early days. Then his red card against Manchester City almost put a real big speed bump in his progress at Wolves, and obviously the change of manager, and he's really struggled to break back into Julen Lopetegui's plans. Now, Wolves, if they were to sell him, would obviously want to make a profit on the £20.5 million that they'd spent last summer. Brentford are looking at players with Premier League experience, which Collins, believe it or not, has played over 50 games in the Premier League, so wouldn't be the worst addition for him. It's kind of split opinion on social media, this one. I was sort of at the time in the camp of, if you can make money on him and there's other better options out there, short term, to strengthen Wolves, you probably would do it. But there's a lot of Wolves fans looking at the long-term future, and lots of people believe this guy has a big future at Wolves. So it's a really interesting situation for Wolves right now. And there would really need to be better players on the market for around the same sort of value. Another player that springs to mind is David Garcia, who played really well in Spain, who is available for around 20 million euros, which would be the same sort of price that you could sell Collins for. But you look at it, he's not British, he's a lot older. Sorry, I know obviously Neves Collins is Irish, but he's sort of outside of Great Britain and Ireland, and he's a lot older than Nathan Collins. So there's pros and cons for this deal, I suppose, and I'd be interested to see your thoughts in the comment section down below on Nathan Collins. Quite an interesting one for Portugal as well today about Pedro Neto. Now, Pedro Neto, again, another player that's really struggled with injuries. His last two campaigns have been filled with injuries, really, and slowed him down hugely. There were claims this morning from Arbola in Portugal that Sporting were eyeing up Pedro Neto for a potential loan deal, which would help, they say, relaunch his career after the last two seasons. Again, split opinion on this one, but Record, who I would say is a more reputable source from Portugal, very, very quickly rubbished this rumour and said that Pedro Neto, there is no interest from Sporting, or at least he's not in Sporting's plans, and he would probably be staying at Wolves. He definitely won't be going to Sporting anyway. Gonzalo Guedes, he's another player in Portugal right now, currently playing for Benfica on loan. It is thought that Wolves are satisfied, I'm not going to say happy, but their plan is to keep Guedes at Benfica on loan. Frustratingly for Wolves, obviously spent a huge amount of money on Guedes last summer. Got to January, Lopetegui found out it was pretty clear that Guedes didn't want to be at Molineux, shipped him off to Benfica on loan, and unfortunately he's had two pretty nasty injuries. So he's still recovering from his most recent surgery as of right now. So in terms of Wolves being able to get a huge chunk of their money back, it's extremely unlikely. So a loan in a sort of environment that suits Guedes right now is probably the better for Wolves, but they've got to really, really hope that Guedes has a good, solid campaign and try and recoup as much money as they can come January or even this time next year. And to finish off as well, a bit of a long shot, I would say, in regards to this one. The stories coming from Spain today in regards to Joao Felix, obviously a Portuguese international, a player that was linked with Wolves a very, very long time ago, actually, when he was at Benfica before his huge money move to Atleti. Of course, had a loan spell out at Chelsea for the second half of this season. Didn't actually do too badly, but it's getting to the point now where Joao Felix really needs to consider his long-term future. It's said that him and Joao Felix and his entourage understand that he may need to almost drop down a level in terms of his next club and sort of take a step back. Now, Wolves are actually mentioned because it said doors should no longer be closed to destinations like Wolves. So Wolves aren't really solidly linked with Joao Felix, almost more touted as a possible destination. It's almost thought that somewhere like Wolves could be like a stepping stone or a place where he can almost unleash his talent and really, really show what he is capable of. The issue is for Atleti, obviously they spent a huge, huge amount of money on Joao Felix previously. Again, if they were to sell him, they'd want to recoup a lot of that money. And Chelsea obviously batted back the option to sign him. Pochettino wasn't convinced. So, yeah, I would love Joao Felix to come to Wolves. But again, at the moment, that seems extremely unlikely. But that was a very quick update on the latest stories surrounding Wolves, guys. As always, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we'll be doing a bigger, sort of more in-depth transfer podcast, which should drop tomorrow as well. So keep your eye out for that one. And lots more content coming out on Talking Wolves over the next few weeks or so. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the lovely weather here in the UK and wherever you are. And I'll see you all very, very soon.